Well, you do know pretty well that this is the Water Week, and there's been a lot of conversation, debates around bringing in innovation into the water sector. We want to cross to an interesting conversation, but before that, just join us on our Super World now, and we'll be able to show you some interesting figures around the world water in regard to the figures. And just giving you a global perspective, 783 million people lack access to clean and safe water. This is a substantial population. This sort of shows you that the crisis is quite enormous when it comes to access to this crucial commodity. The other interesting statistic is that 319 million people, I beg your pardon, in sub-Saharan Africa lack access to improved, reliable drinking water sources. And we can get to the other slide, which also is giving us an interesting perspective around what the sector is performing like. Sub-Saharan Africa is among the regions with the greatest drinking water spending needs, with the greatest investment needs as well. Well, that just gives you an understanding of where we are coming from in this water agenda. And approximately 17 million Kenyans lack access to water, and this are some of the questions we'll be putting out to Engineer Philip Gishuki, who is joining us now live to talk about the Water Week, as well as some of the key developments that continue to face the water sector. Many thanks, Engineer, for making time.
Thank you, Agina.
Well, one big question is, why aren't Kenyans receiving sufficient water supply to their homes?
We need to appreciate that there has been a lot of effort since independence of improving the accessibility to water. There has been a lot of targeted development that has been there. We know there was water to every house by the year 1980, 2000. All these are efforts that are aimed at improving the accessibility to water. Mm-hmm. But the biggest challenge is the requirement of the investment in order to develop the water sources and the infrastructure that are required to provide the water mm-hmm. To the people, and lack of it. Mm-hmm. That mainly because of the competing needs. The water sector have not been funded adequately to provide for
and of course, you've seen a lot of issues around water shortage that continues to hit a number of towns and also cities, Nairobi being one of the most highly affected. Of course, we've seen also cartels coming up who are the water vendors, and they are sort of eating into revenues you should be making. Is it something you will be tackling moving forward?
This is something that we are tackling head on, because one is...
Have you made any arrests?
Arrests, there are several. Mm-hmm. We have even court cases which are going on for the people that we have arrested. And even like today, we must have arrested one or two people in the who are doing illegal activities on the network. Mm-hmm. But I think the one of the things that we need to point out to the public is that as a utility, we are doing everything possible to make sure that we do with what we have, mm-hmm. because at the moment, we are able to bring to the city about 550,000 cubic meters of water. Mm-hmm. And this is only about 74% of the demand in mm-hmm. the city, because the total demand is about 740,000 mm-hmm. cubic meters of water. Mm-hmm. But what we are doing is to make sure that we distribute it in such a way that every person is able to get at least once water in a week. Mm-hmm. The other one is to minimize the losses that are there in the system.
Actually, I was about to ask you about when it comes to wastage, how are you educating Kenyans? Because we see people washing their hands, running water. They don't care whether even when you're showering, people are just having that approach that, hey, let me use it because it really comes on the pipes.
Sure. What you're doing is, anytime we have an opportunity, like when you have the customer care clinics, we talk to our people and to our customers, more so telling them that they need not misuse the water, even if they have it in their tap. Because when they are misusing it, it is not available to the next person. Like for instance, when one is doing cleaning of the utensils, you don't need to open the tap to run throughout. You need to close when you just use the minimum that you can be able to use, to do anything that you need to do, like washing of cars. Why would you clean your car every day? And this is, you're using water that is source that is not really that adequate for everybody. These are some of the things that we are talking to people. Whenever you have an opportunity, whenever you meet our customers, this is the information we pass to the people.
Interesting. Engineer, you mentioned a critical figure, 550,000 cubic meters, that is water that comes into Nairobi. Perhaps, do you know how much is wasted? And how do we reduce this number, especially now that, of course, you've been running the water clinics, but have they been effective? Is it time to change tack?
It is true. We are looking at how effective can we be able to communicate to the public, because probably what we have been doing may not have really reached to everybody. And this is some of the programs that are coming up. How do we make sure that we are visible? The public knows what you are doing, and this will be doing a lot of communication in the very near future. But you have asked a very important question: how much is lost? How much is the wastage? We have done a lot of studies to estimate what is it that we are losing, like physical loss. Physical loss is more worse because it means it's not available to the person. And that is between 10 and 15%.
All right.
That is lost. Yeah.
And moving forward, Engineer, you've talked about this amount of water that we lose every day. Actually, close to about 100,000 cubic liters there. I've just done my arithmetic. That's just a conservative figure. Of course, it can be higher. So when it comes to addressing matters of water, there's a lot of politics that has made its way into water resources. We did see the construction of the water dams the other day being raised by former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, and also a number of projects have actually had to stop because of politics. Do you feel politics is affecting the master plans that you have as Nairobi Water?
True, politics in most cases comes in play, and more so that we have now the devolved system, whereby people in particular counties feel the water there belongs to them, and this is it is easily politicized, and more so given that water is a social good. It have a lot of attachment with the people. But one thing that the public need to be educated, it is better we draw the water in Murang'a than letting it to flow to the Indian Ocean, which we do not have really a contract with it, that we must provide water to it. So it is better we tap it in Murang'a.
Despite fears of desertification?
That's not.
Is it
not
just
possible.
Politics?
That's politics. That's a political statement.
All right,
I don't think that's a professional way of looking at things, because the design of that tunnel was such that it will not affect the groundwater. It will not affect other sources other than the rivers that were being tapped. And in any case, they were tapping the flood water, the high flows. So it's not really the low flows which are being affected, yes.
Engineer, before I let you go, one of the biggest challenges I face personally is when we have water rationing, because sometimes it's not even announced. You just wake up and it's your neighbors telling you, hey, watu wa Kanjo wanafunga maji leo. I mean, how do we move towards a time where we won't experience water rationing in Nairobi or even in the country?
The development that is going on the northern corrector, that is the water that is being tapped in Murang'a, is one of the attempts that is being made to ensure that we have adequate water in Nairobi. And once that project is complete, I assure Nairobians it will be a different thing altogether, because we will have adequate water that we can be able to distribute in the system. However, we do our best to ensure that we inform the public whenever we have a shutdown. About the distribution program, that one, it is always there. We keep on updating it and even informing the public that this is how the water is supposed to be distributed. That your area is going to receive water on Thursdays, your area will receive water on Friday, and that we struggle and make sure that it happens like that. Yes.
Interesting. And of course, Engineer, I'd definitely like to take part in the upcoming marathon. Perhaps just talk about it in brief as we wrap up.
Yeah, we have the Sasumwa Dam Half Marathon. This is an event that we undertake every year, more so to create awareness of the need of conserving the catchment of Sasumwa Dam. Sasumwa Dam is an important source for Nairobi. It was developed in 1956. It's very important for people to know that, and expanded in 1969. But its importance is that it provides 11% of the water that is consumed in Nairobi. It is one event that we have to create awareness about that dam, and also to join with the people of Nyandarua in terms of catchment conservation.
Okay.
Yes.
Fantastic. Many thanks there.
Thank you. Thank you.